so this is another episode of the Public Therapy Podcast with your host, Chris.
And Ray.
Why are you laughing?
It sounded like you almost didn't get that out.
Whatever.
That's cool.
I know. All right, y'all. This is episode 56. And today on episode 56, we have the pleasure of having Mr. Kevin Padillo. He is the president of the Warrior Group. How you doing, sir?
Hey, great to be here.
All right. I'm glad that you came on. Thanks for coming on to the Public Therapy Podcast. We got some things to talk about. So first and foremost, how are you doing?
Yeah, today I'm refreshed. My mind is refreshed, clear, and my spirit is strong today.
Right. I had a guest on yesterday, and we talked about that. How are you doing? Because that's a simple greeting, and people take it as customary rather than genuine. So, you know, sometimes you ask people how you doing, they respond back with how you doing instead of actually answering the question that I just asked you. So that's why I need to be more genuine with that. I do it naturally, but I feel like on the other end of that, people naturally respond back with just a simple good, how are you type thing, but never really tell you how they're doing, especially if it's like some weird stranger or something like that that's asked you that question, right?
Straight up. Yeah, I think when people ask me how you doing, I'm like, maybe I don't trust them enough to go deep and be like, how I'm really doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't trust them.
It's important to ask during these times now too, with Corona and COVID, all that stuff is going on in the world. So I think it's important to ask people that question.
Yeah, true.
Sense. All right, so let's talk about you. So who is Kevin?
Yeah, hey, so my name is Kevin. I'm a 26-year-old Filipino man. I live in Vancouver, Canada. And are you looking for the big story now, or what are you looking for here?
That's fine. I mean, so you're from Canada. So you're the first guest from Canada that we had on, I believe. So what's Canada like?
Yeah, Canada is great. Canada's, some parts is cold, some parts is warm.
Yeah.
I'm on the West Coast near Cali, above California and Seattle.
Okay.
So,
it's all right. Do you go down to the States often?
Yeah, when I can. Yeah,
I've never been to Canada. I don't know too much about Canada except for like the poutine, the fries, fries and the gravy. The Raptors. I got Drake out there. Okay, I forgot who else is out there. Well, I guess y'all don't really claim Tory Lanez no more, do you?
Yeah, wait, Tory Lanez, Toronto, I think.
Oh, Toronto?
He lived there. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So you are the president of, first of all, before we get into that, tell your story on how you got to where you are today.
Sure, man. Yeah. So I've been practicing my story a bit. So young man growing up, my family, they belonged to a church and they were deep into the church. We went to church every day, twice a week. My dad went deep on the church. He was an officer. He was a leader there. He inspired the church. He motivated people. And I admired him. I watched him, but he was so busy. He was too busy. He was busy for me. I didn't spend a lot of time with him. For the longest time, I wanted, my father's attention and love, but I wasn't able to get it as much. I got it in the form of anger. But what's really interesting is I looked to other guys to be a father. I looked to other guys in my church, people that I trusted, people that I liked. And some of these people I trusted too much, and they abused that trust, and I experienced some things in my life that I'm not too happy about because of that trust. So I experienced some stuff like that.
Okay.
And
what are some of those things that you experienced?
Yeah. So I would say I went through some sexual abuse, some things like that.
Okay.
And that's just a piece of my life.
Okay.
But throughout my life, I still wanted that fatherly attention and love. But I came to gangs. It came brought to me through young guys getting into trouble, gang life. Here in Canada, maybe, I'm not sure if it's as bad as the States, but there's still something like that happens. And I did it all to fit in. I did it all to look cool. And it landed me a couple of years 5 years in jail in the Young Offender Center.
Okay.
At the penitentiary, I was in the Young Offender. I spent a lot of my young life there. But I realized that gang life wasn't exactly what I wanted. That brotherhood wasn't exactly what was meant for me. And yeah, as I grew up in there, I kind of graduated high school. I learned a lot about myself. I went through a lot of anger, got into a lot of trouble in there, got into some disagreements, some fights, but I wanted more for myself over time. Friends were dying around me. People are dying over overdoses. People were going to jail for long times. And I asked myself, okay, look, I understand. Maybe I came to the point where I realized what I wanted was some love as a young boy, as a young man from father figure. And I looked to other people and I came to become aware of that. Now I want to strengthen young men just like the people behind me, be able to have that leadership and the strength to not experience the thing I went through, but also to have the courage to stand up. So that's a little of a messy story, but that's me.
No, it was actually pretty interesting. So so you were 16 when you first went to jail?
I was a 13.
13? Okay. So you basically, this is just me asking the question. Did you end up joining the gang just so you can feel like you were a part of something?
Yeah.
And then you say you were looking for love because I'm assuming your father loved you, but he didn't love you the way that you wanted to be loved as far as like attention.
Back then, yeah. I don't want to put all my dad blame just in case he watches this podcast, but
okay, I got you.
He's a good man now. Like we're patching it up. We're patching
okay.
it up.
That's
but he's a good man. He did his best. I understand.
Okay. So with the gang thing, what was something, did you learn anything positive from being in the gang? Because people always know that all the negatives and stuff that come out of being in the gangs and all the other stuff, but there's always a positive you can take from even negative situations. So is there anything positive that you may have learned? And I don't know if you have an answer for that question, but I'm just asking.
Yeah, I learned a lot. I learned about trust.
Okay.
A lot about aggression.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about like my need for attention.
Okay.
To look cool. I had that need. I wanted to look cool.
Right.
At the risk of other people.
Mm.
Trade-off is I'm impacting other people for that.
Okay. So I read that you were basically you were the person that's kicking in people's doors and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Like you were, does that mean that you were like the what do you call it? I don't know. I guess the go-getter, I guess. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the gangs. That's why I'm asking all these questions.
Oh yeah, I would say yeah, we were more of we were the soldiers, man. We were doing a little bit of the street work.
Okay.
Yeah. From drug dealing to home invasions to robbery.
Yeah.
Things we did, yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. Okay. So
things I'm not proud of.
Yeah. So what eventually led you to jail? What ended up putting you in jail?
First, it started off, I broke into a locker in my junior high. I thought it was so cool. I broke into a locker. I was like, there's something cool in here. I want it. Maybe an iPod or some change.
Okay.
Another one was I punched a kid in the face because I was angry.
Yeah.
And I got charged for assault. So those are small stuff, but it suddenly picked up. There's a lot of running away from home kind of charges. Like I didn't want to spend time at home. I ran away, and I was on probation, and I took off. I'm like, I don't want to stay here, and I had like a 7 o'clock curfew. I had to be home for a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
There's all these rules. I didn't like it, so I just took off, and there's a lot of going in and out for that.
Okay. Oh. All right. Yeah. So, and you say you spent 5 years in jail after all that.
Yeah. It was, so the first 2 were in and out. The last 3.5 it was for a home invasion.
Okay. It's interesting whenever I was reading your story, because now you're this motivational person. You're a public speaker. You I guess you go out and do ministry work and all that other type of stuff as well, right? So when I was reading your story, what I was thinking about, remember, was watching 60 Days In. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with that TV show, 60 Days In?
I heard about it.
Okay, so you remind me, there's this Puerto Rican on there who was an ex-gang member as well, and he was like deep into it, and he went into prison, all this other stuff, and he turned his whole life around. But that's kind of what you remind me of. His obviously on a different scale because he was like really deep into it. He did it for years, and he was in and out of prison, all the other stuff. But that's what your story reminded me of. I don't even know where I was going. But yeah, it's pretty funny because looking at you, obviously there's no one doesn't look like a prisoner, right? So when I look at you, I don't think of someone that has been to prison or someone that, or not necessarily prison, but jail. I don't know if there's a difference as far as like calling someone who used to be in prison or jail or whatever. But you know the stereotype I'm talking about. But I can't look at you and tell that you've been locked up or that you've been an ex-gang member or a bad guy because you look like an innocent, normal person, you know? Well, it's funny if you look at the cover, look at them from the outside, you don't know, you peeling an onion bag, you would never know that you would uncover all of these things that you mentioned just now. So it's pretty interesting, you know? You got any questions?
No, so I mean, eventually we'll get to it, but I just wanted him to kind of explain what the warrior group is.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
All right. So, because I like to build to where you are now, type thing. So, what did you learn? You may have learned the same thing as far as being in a gang, but what did you learn behind closed or behind the bars or whatever when you were locked up? What did you learn from that?
I learned a lot about discipline, organizing. You know, in there we had there was about 16 rooms on the range, and we all had our own room, maybe a roommate, but every day we had to make our bed. There's a certain way we had to make it, a certain protocol. The room had to be cleaned by a certain time, by breakfast. We had to get up at a certain time to run a circuit for some units. So like a lot of consistency. I learned a lot about, okay, I got to do this every day. If I wanted to have the perks of, you know, having a phone call or having free time outside my room, it's like a weird discipline system there, but I learned a lot about consistency. I learned a lot about reading, my relationship to books.
Yeah.
I read a lot of books. I learned a lot about my relationship to working out. You know, there's a lot of room for push-ups and body weight, you know, doing a lot of body weight workouts in there.
Okay.
So different ways of push-ups. There's so many different styles of push-ups, man. Like you look like you work out. So I don't know.
So the lockdown didn't bother you when they started closing the gyms or anything like that, huh? It's like go back to my penitentiary style workouts.
Straight up, yeah. There's a park and a pool anywhere.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, so on to your question. So warrior leader. So what is a leader builder, or what is it that you do as a president of Warrior Leadership?
Sure. Yeah. So warrior leadership is we train young men to strengthen their leadership skills. So these are young men under the age of 35. Many of them are young men that have big goals, big dreams. And my vision for it, like right now, it's a coaching business. We've hosted about 4 events, 4 masterminds, some long courses, some short, where young guys, even some young women were there as well, but we dived into what it means to be a leader. Okay. What does leadership mean? What are the 5 leadership values? What are ways we can lead and step up into leadership? So we dive into those. Right now we're just giving free value. We're not really selling much. I have other companies that I'm growing at the moment. So the Warrior Group has 3 businesses inside it. Okay. It's the Leader's Voice, and Leads on Demand, and Warrior Leadership.
Okay.
Under it, yeah.
Cool. So where did you get your leadership skills from?
Yeah. So one is jail, one was gang life, and one was also just developing it, training it. I learned a lot about mentorship from my dad.
Yeah.
From him. I know a lot of people, they're going to watch this podcast. They're going to be like, yo, why should I follow you?
So
this is, right? So that's where I got to build the credibility.
Yeah, but that's where that's one of the questions I actually wrote down. So one of the things I want to ask you was, have you gotten any pushback because of, let's say, so someone hears your background, right? Because like we talked about earlier, someone hears your background about being an ex gang member and then being locked up and stuff. Have you gotten any pushback from people saying, why can I trust you to lead me if you went down the wrong path initially, right? Did
Straight
you get
up.
that?
Yeah, for sure. If they ask me that question, boom, I'm gonna ask me, like, well, look at the life I live now, man.
Yeah.
Do I look like a gang member to you? I'm a gang member.
Exactly. Yeah. So
100%.
you're my favorite type of person to listen to because you hear these people that have all these self-help books or they want to be motivational life coaches or anything like that, but they never necessarily been through anything in their own life, you know? So for me, I like to be influenced or I like to learn from people that have been, not saying that you came from the bottom of the barrel, but like people that have came from the bottom of the barrel and then made themselves more or made themselves successful. And then they can teach other people who maybe gone down that same path and are still trying to find their path to where they want to be at as well. So that's why I think that what makes you a great leader, because of you have life experiences and things that you've been through and you've seen so many different, like you said, that you learned leadership from your father, who has not been. I don't know if your father been in and out of jail or anything like that, but I'm assuming not. But you said he's very spiritual. You learn leadership skills and values from a gang. You learn leadership. You learn leadership values from a penitentiary style lifestyle. So you have so many different examples, and you can pick and choose what kind of leadership that you want us to do. So I think
Straight up.
that's pretty cool.
I think I could learn leadership through anything. Actually, there's always a leader somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, for example, in this podcast, you're leading the podcast. You're the one asking me the questions. It's your podcast and your show. So I can learn leadership from here. I can
Yeah.
learn leadership from people walking the street, someone leading a project. I learn through actions, right?
Right.
And I know people are going to doubt, and that's okay. Everyone has their own choice of who they want to follow in life.
Okay.
I truly,
How long have you been doing this warrior leadership thing?
I would say 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. It's
3 years.
been, yeah, 3 years.
So
Yeah,
still young, still young. And you say you're 26?
yeah.
Yeah, you got a lot of growing to do. Like that's a lot of room. I'm only 30, so I'm not too far ahead of you. But I remember thinking that you remember whenever you were about 20, you were thinking 25 or 30 was old. Man, that is not old anymore. I still feel like a young kid trying to figure life out still, you know?
Straight up. I think we're all young kids in big bodies. Like, to be honest, our
Yeah.
bodies grow and just our minds sometimes change a bit, but we have these childhood things. Like,
Yeah.
want to have fun. We want to, like, yeah, right? Like, yeah.
So what's the typical day-to-day life for you?
Yeah, day-to-day life goes to wake up at 5 a.m. I have a little, like, personal growth thing I do for 2-3 hours until 8:30.
Mm-hmm.
So I read, I study, I meditate, I write goals, I study Cardone University, which is a sales training.
Okay.
Sometimes I go to the gym. Like, I do MMA as well, so I do boxing and I do Muay Thai. The
Okay.
gym's shut down right now, but normally I go to a morning class. And then so during that 5 to 8:30, I'm not always perfect, but I start work at 8:30, work from 9 till 3. So, like, what that looks like would be phone calls, expansion, trying to get on other podcasts, expanding the brand, getting
Yeah.
more, putting more content out, talking to my team as well. So I have a team overseas. So making sure they're handled, they have all their processes, they have things they need, anything I could do for them, any coaching I could give to them.
Mm-hmm.
Then, yeah, just expanding the mission, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is your coaching? So what kind of coaching do you do as far as like your structure and stuff?
Yeah. So the coaching I was doing, so before right now, I'm not taking any coaching clients. I don't have any, we're not selling any coaching at the moment, but before we just had a lot of mastermind groups. So, like, just behind us here in this banner,
Uh-huh.
these are two of the events that we had. I don't know if you see it, but
Yeah, we can.
um, this is the first one. This is the third one that happened. And it's just a lot of sharing. a lot of leadership. We dive into like top leadership values. John Maxwell.
Okay. Yeah.
You guys know who that man is?
Yeah. I know who John Maxwell is. He has some great structures and books and stuff that he's writing. I think he has a podcast as well, doesn't he?
Maybe. I think so.
I think he has a podcast or a blog or something that he always posts stuff on. So me, like, I'm military, so I see all my like certain military leaders and stuff like love to share some things that he says. I think he has some good nuggets out there.
Yeah.
So.
Now, military is one thing I'm trying to get into. Actually, I'm working on my application to join the Canadian Infantry.
Okay.
Reserve unit, but it's kind of a weird process right now. But working on it.
Oh, so it's not one of those situations. 'Cause I know, like for the U.S., if you want to go to the Army or something like that, you just show up to the office and you take a test, and then next thing you know, you're saluting officers and all this other crazy mess.
Oh, crazy! Is that easy over there?
I mean, so me, I came in 2008, so it was easy whenever I came through. I'm in the Air Force, but all I did was take a test, then took a physical exam, and then I was off. So I'm pretty sure it's more than that, but I'm very simple-minded, and I just do stuff. I just go with the flow with everything. I don't overthink anything, and that might be one of my flaws. I think I don't put a lot of time and effort into certain things. And for like the military, the reason why I joined was because I was being lazy. I think I told the story before, but I was being lazy throughout my senior year in high school, and I didn't go take my SATs, or I didn't do enough college, go to visit colleges or anything like that. But I knew that my parents wasn't going to let me just stay around the house working at Chicken Express or anything like that without going to college or anything. So I was like, I need to get out this house. So I went ahead and left a few years after I graduated high school. So here I am. Now we're in the UK living life. So, but the military, I think that'd be dope for you, especially if you trying to go. I don't know why you want to go infantry. That's your story to tell, but I think that's great because you learn. I mean, you already have certain leadership skills that you have now, and then you build them while you're in the army. Or is it the Canadian Army?
Canadian, yeah.
Canadian Army. Remember that video I showed you about the Canadians?
No.
The guy that was on the flight line, he had on underwear.
Oh yeah.
So
what?
When I was living in Sicily. It was during the whole, I don't know if you remember all the Libya mess that was going on in Africa and everything. Sicily, where I was stationed, it was basically the airport. It's not the airport, but it's basically the fuel station for planes, and all the countries would fly in and fill up from Sicily. But one time, I got it on video too. There was a Canadian pilot, or there was a Canadian, he wasn't a pilot. He was actually an air marshaller, so the one that directed planes and stuff. He was out there. It was cold. It had to have been like October, November, December timeframe because it was cold outside of Sicily. And he was on the flight line and just underwear marshaling the plane. I'm like, what the hell's going on out there? It was a Canadian. It was a Canadian guy. So,
that's funny, man.
So there's something else to know about Canadians, y'all. It's a little crazy.
Must have been cold, man. Is it cold?
Yeah, but I mean, he's from Canada, so it probably wasn't nothing to him.
Yeah, the snow here is strengthening us.
Yeah. Is it snowing out there now?
In my province, no, but I know in Calgary, the one over, yeah, there's like snow everywhere.
Okay.
A little warmer here.
Okay, cool. All right, back on track. Sorry about that. So who are your biggest influencers?
Yeah, so as my work around, building leaders, my goal is to build myself. So I follow a lot of leaders. I learn from a lot of different people because I can't just be the one that's saying I'm the best. I need to humble myself. So lately I've been learning from a lot of my own culture.
Okay.
Leaders of my own people, Filipino people. I'll be honest, this might turn off some of your viewers, but I had trouble, like lately I'm having trouble not following any white influencers.
Oh, it's okay.
I'll be honest.
I thought you were gonna say something worse.
The suspense. He was like, we're gonna turn off some of your followers, and then it was like a pause, and we're like, all right, what is he about to say?
So why is it that you don't? So not necessarily. So why don't you want to do a white leaders? Not deal. I guess not listen to them. Or it's a
This
lot
is
of.
only lately though. This is only lately. Like before, it was all good, but I I don't know. I want to learn from colored people of color.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like people like me, or people like that has you like look like skin color like you, bro.
Right.
Like
Right. People of color. Yeah.
people of color, man. People of color, straight up.
Yeah. So
And
for me, what I do, I like to learn from people that look like me because that's who I can relate more with. I can relate more with people of color versus someone who is white.
right.
Obviously, there's still people that are white that have good that has good advice or anything like that. But I like to go home first, if that makes sense. I like to see what I can learn from the house first, and then venture out.
Straight up.
No, so I get why you're saying what you're saying.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like lately, I've been going through a thing of anger towards white people.
Oh
Like
wow, okay.
lately,
Is it just because of the recent events and stuff that's been going on?
things are going around in the world, and my own experience. I'm a person of color. I live in a Canadian, and I live in Canada. There's still racism here, and I've experienced it from white people. So
Mm,
I've carried a big ship on my shoulder. Maybe because I think, oh, yo, the white people have more than me. I'm Asian. I'm an immigrant.
mm-hmm.
Maybe they have more. You know that whole privilege thing.
Yeah,
It's like that, and I'm like, I'm gonna go learn from people who don't have that same level footing.
right. Okay.
So yeah, that's what I'm experiencing that, but I know I'll learn from everyone again. It's just
Yeah, still figuring it out. There ain't nothing wrong with that. I get it. I mean, and I appreciate you being transparent too, because that's the thing that you see in not necessarily everyone in podcasting, but you see it just with people that put their information out there. They try to fake the funk type deal, you know. But it seems like people are being more bold and more confident in being transparent, which is something that I appreciate.
straight up.
You
Yeah.
know,
And even for the longest time, dude, I even hated my own race.
really.
Being like I'm a person of color, I even hated other people of color. It's called like I'm taking a course. It's called internalized depression, where I hate people that look like me.
Yeah.
So when I see people that are like maybe that are Filipino and they can't speak the language, I start talking down to them like I have more. Oh, I
Okay.
can speak English, you can't. I just treat them disrespectfully. Um, I make small racist jokes,
Mm-hmm.
and there's just impact. Um, and someone called me out on it. My friend called me out in this course, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, you got this going on for you." And I let it sit. Um, so my work is reclaiming my own culture.
Yeah.
Reclaim.
How did you react whenever your friend called you out on it?
Yo, people call me out all the time because I call people out all the time too, man. It's like
Yeah.
wait, you know. But when people call me out, there's obviously that oh ouch, like fuck, like critical feedback.
Yeah.
Critical feedback is like ouch, but I know it's making me better.
All right. I'm kind of the same way. I'm very outgoing with my thoughts. I wouldn't. I guess you can call it. I guess that's that alpha male. I guess you have it to the alpha male mentality.
Yeah.
So for me,
Yeah.
I learned a few years ago, if I'm going to be out here criticizing people, I better learn how to take it as well.
I agree.
Because I will, if I don't like something, or if I don't like something about somebody, I'm gonna speak my mind, and I want you to speak your mind too. We can sit there and have a conversation, not necessarily like in a disrespectful way or anything like that. But for me, I want to learn why is it that you think a certain way, and I want you to understand me as well. But at the same time, I'm going to try to understand you too. Um, so I don't know. It's that alpha male mentality, I guess, that I naturally have, and I guess you have that too. So yeah,
Yeah, man.
you
Like
gotta learn how to take that criticism.
straight up, I think
They've criticizing me all the time.
yeah. I hear you. I know what you mean. I see it as tests, you know, like yeah, I know people test each other
Mm-hmm.
from women in relationships to men in relationships. Like people test each other. We're always trying to
Yeah.
test our reaction. Hey, how's he going to react? Is he strong? Is he confident? Is he weak? Is he going to keep his word? Is he going to break his word? You know, it's just like, there's a constant test everywhere.
Yeah. I get it, man. So what's something that you do every day that you would consider therapeutic?
A lot of breathing.
Yeah.
Nature, friends.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a men's group, so I go bring my challenges to a men's group, bring it to men, and I just.
Okay. What do I do in the men's group? Do y'all just have discussions? What is that?
Kind of like not really framed in a discussion. There's men, we get a chance to check in, like, hey, so what are you bringing today? You know, we all get a share. No one's preaching.
Yeah.
No one has a speech. It's just like, what are you checking in with?
Okay.
And sometimes someone will go deeper. They'll be like, yeah, so what's that all about? You know, what kind of a man does that? What impact does that have? And they ask me, hey, is that the man you want to be?
Right.
And why did you keep your word? Yes or no? You know, what's stopping you from keeping your word? What got in the way? So challenges like that, it keeps me sharp.
Yeah. I love those type of conversations where you have an open forum to discuss anything, and then you peel those onions back, you peel back those layers and stuff, and you don't know how long those conversations are going to be. I love conversations like that. Hate's the wrong word, but I'm not a big fan of structured, like interview structure type of conversations, I guess. I don't know if you can tell by this interview. Like, this is not an interview, but this podcast. I don't like to interview my host or my guest. I don't like to interview my guest. I like to just talk to them. You know, do a little background research on them, have a conversation with them. So I think that's very therapeutic. So I like that. Okay, so you have a podcast. Is it your podcast, Mission Driven Life Podcast?
Yeah, Mission Driven Life. Yeah.
Okay, so you're the host of a podcast. So what do you talk about on there? Basically everything that we just talked about.
Yeah, your podcast looks way sicker, man. Like mine's, we just go deep on mission, leadership, confidence. I interview people. Maybe I'd love to interview you and maybe your wife, both of you guys, and love to.
Yeah, we've only done one interview, and I don't even think that interview aired it. We did an interview earlier in the summertime, like whenever lockdown and all this stuff first happened. But I think we do need to get out and do some more outreach and stuff to get our names out there a little bit. Like, we can come on one of these days. I wouldn't mind, even if it's just me. Raven's quiet. I don't know how much you're gonna get out of Raven. But yeah. So you interview guests as well on your podcast?
Yeah, the interview.
Okay. Cool. I like it. So when are your podcasts release?
We released them already. We were doing a daily podcast we have 233 episodes right now. We're doing it.
Goodness.
That's a lot of episodes.
We're just doing a humble. Sometimes some of them were like, hey, recorded on my phone as I walk.
Yeah.
They're just really, I'm just getting the content out.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. So what else you got going on as far as like social media or anything like that? You want to plug anything for our show?
Yeah, hey, not really want to plug anything. Just looking to add value. You know, You can feel free to follow me, Warrior Leadership, warrior.leadership on IG, or Warrior Leader on YouTube. I'm looking to grow those things. And, yeah.
Okay, that's dope. Any questions, Raven, that you want to ask?
So it's not random. It actually goes back on the point that you discussed earlier. So it's crazy because when you said what you said, and I'll say it in a second, to me, I didn't think, oh, that's how racists think. But has anyone ever called you a racist, or have you ever thought to yourself like, wow, this is a racist thought?
Yeah.
You have? I
would consider myself a racist. I have racist thoughts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because at first when you said it, like it was nothing that was like, oh my God, that's racist, right? But then I thought, well, what if a white person said this? And I was like, oh, us as people of color would have said, oh, that's racist. But then us hearing another person of color say it, it's like, yeah, we understand. And it's like, oh, is that how they think with each other? Like, yeah, I can relate with you. I understand. And so they really don't see themselves as racist. But in a sense, we all do it.
Yeah. In a way. But you say you've recently started feeling like this though.
Yeah, recently. Yeah.
Yeah. So it must have been a series of events that led you to, because you haven't always thought like that. So I wouldn't necessarily, and not saying that you're wrong or anything like that, but I guess you're not wrong.
That's why I'm like, it's crazy when you start to actually think about it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
This is the way racist things, because racist people that don't believe they're racist, they try to.
It's literally just how you feel.
Yeah.
And it to other people, it's offensive. But in a sense, you can't. I mean, you can tell me my feelings are offensive, but it's literally how I feel, or it's how someone has made me feel to feel that way, and it just so happens that they're of another race.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which part do you mean, Raven? Like what I said?
For both, really. When you said hatred, like I hated white people, but then you also came and said you hated your own people.
Yeah.
And I was just like, because even as us people of color, sometimes, people joke about it. Oh, them. Okay, well, I can't say that word, but that's black people. That's what black people do. Or sometimes we're like, oh, I don't want to be in a room with too many.
Yeah.
We all do it towards our own race. And that's just what it triggered it. I was like, oh, so we all think like this, but we never think to ourselves that we are racist.
Ah, interesting. So you've thought that about other like black people or people of color?
Well, I don't really think it, like it doesn't bother me like that. But when I hear it, it's something that immediately when I hear it, I'm like, oh, we shouldn't say that. We shouldn't do that. Like towards our own people, like, oh, there's too many of us in here. And it's just like, oh, don't make a joke about that, because that is internal hatred towards your own people. And it's just like, that's what's been ingrained in us from other races to hate our own races. And it shouldn't go like that.
Yeah, it's a shame. I can tell when, I don't know if this is a judgment or pre, but I know when there's someone that's a Filipino, or like let's say I see an Indian guy hanging out with only white guys. He never wants to hang out with an Indian guy. And I'm like, okay, bro, I'm like, do you hang out with your culture? And sometimes I'll ask them, like, hey, like my buddy, he was like, yo, I don't care about that color, or I don't care about that I'm Indian. I don't even see myself as Indian. And I'm just like, okay, dude, all right, like your call, but maybe there's something like that for him. And
or maybe it's nothing at all. That's just how his cards play.
Maybe, yeah. Like I don't know. I don't know how fucking. I can't judge. Who am I to judge? But I could ask him about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, everyone has their own experience.
Okay.
So.
A lot of digging. You got deep on this, but I didn't think we were gonna get that deep. Jesus. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, is there anything that you like to add?
No, it is really grateful. Really grateful I can connect with you guys all the way from London.
Yeah, man, we're out here
London, England, or where about?
So we're in the Midlands. We just say London because no one really knows, or not no one knows, but not many people know about the Midlands. So we're about an hour north of London.
Yeah.
So we just say London just to keep everything simple.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. All right. What brings you guys out there?
So I work out here. So I do human resource. I'm stationed out here doing work for the military. So be out here for a little bit longer, then we'll probably be heading back. So we're originally from Texas.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, from the South. So probably be heading back there in several months. Hopefully, not hopefully. I say hopefully. Raven wants to travel a little bit more. That's one good thing about living in the UK. Have you ever been to the UK before?
No, I want to though.
Yeah. So living out here is super cheap not cheap in the UK is not cheap at all. But it's cheap to travel to so many different places in Europe over here. And that's one thing that we got taken away from us this year. The last time we've been somewhere out the country was February for our anniversary. And we ain't been anywhere ever since. So now we do little vacations to like, not necessarily to London, but we go to Birmingham. So we went out there once in a while. We go down to London. Well, before we're back on lockdown, but before that, we used to go to London and get something to eat or something like that, because that's where all the good food is. Because the UK food is trash. I don't know if you heard about UK food, but
I'm sure it's good somewhere.
Yeah, no one never says, "Hey, let's go get an English dish." You know, that's not a thing. So, yeah, I know. So, do you even know what an English dish is? Like, do you know what that consists of?
No, I heard there's like potatoes and fries and fish.
Yeah, so potatoes, fries, fish, mushy peas,
Toffee pudding.
Yeah, but don't you dare put seasoning on it. They don't like that. You put no seasoning on my food. Yeah, it's not but the UK is different. But they have good places in London. There's good food, and like the unofficial food in the UK is curry. So Indian food, they have a big Indian culture out here. So it's pretty good. I think we're gonna have Indian tomorrow.
Hey, nice.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's some good Indian English food there, man. I have a vibe. Unless your cook sucks, I don't know your cook.
Well, I'm glad you have faith.
Hey, if you ever come out here, we'll let you stay with me, and I'll pay for your English meal if it's good. I'll pay for everything if you can find it. Now they have some good stuff. Like I think that they got some good Yorkshire puddings. I haven't tried it before, but they sound good. Sticky toffee pudding's good. I tried it. You never tried it. It's pretty good. Yeah, I think it's good, but whatever.
I heard they have tea or something. They have to drink a lot of tea there. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of tea out here. It is. So
tea and biscuits.
Tea and biscuits.
They have tea time every day.
Yeah. So it's typical. If you've seen it on social media, or if you know it as a stereotype, it's probably true out here in the UK. The weather sucks.
Is your house made of like stones and stuff? Like stones?
No, not ours, but there's some down
the street. Yeah,
down
there's
the
a
road.
lot of them like that.
Yeah. So they call them not cottages. I forgot what they call them. Burl something.
I don't know, because I definitely was gonna go cottage and I was gonna go hut, but nope. So yeah, no.
Yeah. No, England's cool though. They got a cool culture out here. So yesterday, actually, while we was recording a podcast, someone let off a damn firecracker, and it sounded like it was gunshots going on outside. So if you listen to episode 55, you'll hear some gunshots outside our window. It sounds like, and we like both freaked out for a second. But it was pretty funny. But yeah, man.
Yeah, that happened to me last night. Someone right there, and it scared the heck out of me, man. I was like, "What's going on, man?"
Was it fireworks or actual gunshots?
I think fireworks. I think, maybe fireworks. It's right there outside my window.
Yeah. All right, man. I don't got nothing else to add. If you're good, I'm good.
No, thank you again, Raven and Chris. Right, Chris.
Yep, Chris. So yeah, because on my Facebook it's Chris Chip.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had to change my name on Facebook because people started looking me up, and I didn't like that. So that's my alias name on Facebook. Now it's not even an alias no more because it's out there now. I might have to edit. No, I'm just playing. I'm not gonna edit it out. So yeah, man. So what I'll do, send me your links and stuff, and I'll plug them into a podcast, and everybody can follow you, and check you out on there.
Awesome, man. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Raven and Chris.
All right, y'all. So it's been episode 56 with the Puppy Therapy Podcast, which I was Chris.
And Ray.
All right, and we just had a conversation with Kevin Padillo. Did I say that right?